All right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. If you guys are new here, let me turn on music. Golly, kind of blasting this thing. All right. If you guys were here during the morning, I had a little bit of a fucked up scenario where my stream shut off, but we're back at it. In the evening, we get in here, we review the price action that we had during the day. In the morning, we take a look at the price action and what it did overnight, and what we can do going potentially into that New York session. So let's take a look here what price did. Also going to review, we'll take a look at some of the price action in here, but we're mostly going to review just like the general pre-market area when we were trading and what we were looking at. So over here doing this 7 a.m. during that 8 a.m. hour in the morning, we were taking a look at NQ and we were outlining inside the Paper Traders Discord, and we were also outlining here inside on these streams. So price was below that previous day low, which is right here, this level right there at 25.033. So that was kind of the basis here. So price was coming into this previous low that we've tapped into. I believe this is a volume balance on the 4 hour. Yeah. Price was coming into this volume balance on the 4 hour. As you can see, we opened up during that future sessions, continuation to the downside, tapped this quarterly open, continued to the upside, or saw that little reversal here. So tapped into this level over here, this fair value gap on the hourly. Did look like it wanted to reject initially, but then we knew that we had some news at 8:30 a.m. here. So as we were going into here, we said, okay, well, we have this liquidity on the upside at 25,122, and we also have this previous weekly low level, right? So previous weekly low, typically if we break through a level, we need to retest it and confirm that it is now resistance. This is exactly what happened here, where price on this hourly candle, we initially rise to the top over here, sweep this liquidity, tap into this previous weekly high, and then see that rejection to the downside. It's much more clear when we're combining it with the 15-minute and that 5-minute candles as well. And once price was starting to get below this right there, we said, okay, well, below the closing price of that previous candle, so okay, well, we can see that reversal or that full outside out, which is what we got. Going into the New York session, so 9 a.m., you can see that we had one more retracement to the downside here. Then price is getting above the closing price of this previous 8 a.m. candle at 9 a.m. here after sweeping that previous hourly low. And then we get a full-blown outside hour back to the upside. Another outside hour where price sweeps the top. We get below the closing price of that previous hourly candle, and the continuation to the downside. And that's kind of just like the basic rundown here on that parameter. We rejected the OTE so far at that 618 and this fair value gap here of this range. So from the top to the bottom, I believe this was a 4 hour fair value gap. So right now, just kind of decided we have a fair value gap to the downside that we tapped into, but also rejecting something at the top right there. So that's something to look for in what price wants to do there. Let's take a look on the 5 minutes. So here on the 5 minute, this is where we were going into that hour, right? There's that 15-minute going into that hour at 8:30, and then there's that 8:30 5-minute candle. So price initially clears this inverse fair value gap. We took some shorts off of this level right there, off of that liquidity here, that Asian session high, right? Price has swept it. We have a little bit of a retrace to the downside, which gave us enough points right there. If this can show right there, yeah, 161 points. That's not bad, right? We get that retrace to the downside. Then this is starting to rise. VIX is rising. So over here, we're starting to think, okay, there's possibility for some longs. Price displaces this inverse or this fair value gap. We form an inverse fair value gap right here at 820. 825 price sweeps the top again, comes back into this inverse fair value gap now, and then out of it we get that immediate rush to the upside, sweeping that 822 liquidity right there slash the Globex open, and then we get that immediate reaction back to the downside. Right over here we take some shorts. This price was on the 15 minutes starting to retrace. We didn't get a continuation above it. We're getting above that previous hourly close as well, so we get that reversal to the downside as we're going into that 9:30 a.m. over here. VIX is rising again, right? Or 9 a.m. VIX is rising, so we could have taken a continuation here on that SFP, maybe a retest of this area, right? Rejection again of this now fair value gap that got inverted and then turned back into that fair value gap. Price taps back into it, 9:15. Going into 9:30, we get this downward candle, right? Sweep of that previous low, this blunt candle, this low, we get an SFP. Gives us a decent reaction to the upside, at least up to this blunt candle on the 5-minute. So as you can see right there, those blunt candles, they love to come back for those. Once they swap that, we get that continuation to the upside. On the 5-minute during the macros, that hourly opens up. We tap into this, get that immediate reaction to the downside, giving us an outside hour, and then price kind of consolidated, which from there, for me, it's like, I don't really care what price does there. On the 1-minute, similar thing. There's that hourly sweep. So, right, that could have told you, okay, prices want to continue to the downside, which then you're kind of consolidating, sweep that, a little continuation back to the upside over here. We're still kind of looking like it's displacing all these fair value gaps, but price is still not willing to displace this previous 1-minute close, so we can't necessarily get that reaction to the upside. Then going deeper a little bit into that 10 a.m. candle, price taps into that fair value gap, and then gives us that reaction to the downside and continuation. So this is the trade that you could have taken right there, right? There's that, of course, appropriate RR, and whatever you wanted to target, there's that previous hourly low. So that would have given you a decent run right there. Right, this is not the trade that I took. I showed you guys the trades that I took over here on this 1-minute. We got that reversal right, double sweep right there. We get that reversal to the downside over here on the 1-minute with that SFP. Also get that run to the upside. So that's what we had on NQ there. I'm still looking at that December contract chart for a little bit until probably I'll outline that a little later today, see what we got. But other than that, using the continuous chart here, using the December contract over here right now, probably going to switch it to March 26 here soon and redo all the levels on it, given that, you know, all these levels are so just, you know, we're going to play them and watch them, see what price is doing around them, right? We're not trading the 5-minute or anything like that, but we're watching it on the hourly since volume is still present on it. But we do also want to take a little bit of caution as now price is moving to that different contract. In terms of crypto, everything's still looking a little groggy. Nothing too out of the ordinary. We can scroll through some of these names and see what we're doing out here. And so at any point, if you guys got any questions, comments, concerns, let me know. Get in here, get your friends in here, get your mom in here, get your dad in here. You know, we're gonna answer any questions that you got. Let's see. Yeah, crypto, everything is. Epic doesn't look too bad. AVAAI. Got that tap right there, right? Just what we wanted to see. Nice reaction to the upside on yesterday. 4 hours looking. That's a good one. Good run to the upside. Damn, what? Like 50%, damn. Not bad. Virtual. No. Probably have to scroll through these and see if there's anything really worth it. One thing on stonks I will bring my attention to. We'll look through the ones that we have and also just take a look at one more that I'm looking at. Let's do this just fairly quickly, right? Rivian still just kind of having trouble getting above that 1886. AMT I'm still looking at working with. The CISD needs to hold. This price is kind of getting below, which is not the most ideal case, right? If we're wanting to continue to the upside, we would need to get through this monthly, or this daily would need to hold, and this previous weekly low would need to see some kind of reaction out of here. CLX, that one's, we can fuck this one off of our watch list. COP, you can see that CIST we could not clear. I don't know where I'm looking on 12-hour, but daily. As you can see, we're looking for that continuation to the upside here with that tap into the OTE area. Right now, we could be watching for another potential retest of the OTE area just for price to get to somewhere. But if price cannot get through these, or if price cannot hold these levels, then there's this likely the reversal to the downside. Costco, this daily candle, I'm liking this close. This weekly is obviously still a little bad, right? But the way that this daily is now closing within this range almost, I want to see maybe some sort of reversal and continuation to the upside out of here. Above this 871.71 would be absolutely solid. is what I got my eyes on. Yeah, Costco. This doesn't look bad over here. Lockheed Martin. We said we want to see a little bit of a retrace going into this weekly, which is what we're getting. We swept that previous weekly high. Now it's seeing a little bit of a reversal, so not the most ideal setup there for longs, but we're going to keep monitoring this range. If they retest that 470, we'd want that 470 to hold in order for us to continue to the upside and get that outside month ABT. ABT getting that retest, so we got that initial rise to the upside. Could not get through this 200 EMA. Now seeing a bit of a retrace to the downside, so would want to see through this fair value gap right there. That needs to hold for us to continue to the upside. MA, similar thing, right? The CISD would need to hold if we come back to retest it. And that's pretty much all I got on these bad boys. Nothing too deep, not looking at anything else going into this week. Just kind of waiting for price to do its thing as we're nearing the end of the month, nearing the end of the week. Even though it's half the week. So tonight's just short and sweet. Ooh, Comcast. That's a solid run. Here's Comcast could be really fucking good, actually. Comcast. Comcast. Comcast has been on my watch list for a fucking minute now. That SFP. DD drafting love. Yeah, I don't think I got anything else. Target got an SFB here on that day, so want to see a continuation above if we're looking for something more. Yeah, other than that, we'll probably do it. So as always, thank you guys for watching. Thank you for tuning in. I know this was short and sweet, but if you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, leave them in the comments below. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you guys want to see more of, less of. BA, nice continuation out of that. Cat, CCL. Actually, let's look through everything. Coin 786 probably program, and then we'll do a little back testing portion too. So I'll just do it on stream. I'll show you guys kind of the way that we back test and the things that I look at. The ESFP on the daily, Dell. Let's see. F got an SFP. Not something that we want to see. Generac seeing that retrace, I would want to see if this OTE holds. Let's see. Yeah, and if you guys want to support us, like I said in the past, the best way to support it is just by liking these streams, sharing them, retweeting them, doing whatever, letting us know that you want to keep seeing these, which we'll keep on doing them no matter what. What else do we got that looks decent here? Nothing else really. Everything kind of saw that reversal with NQs and the fucking dumper to the downside. Let's see. Marvel, top of the 705. Could give a decent run to the upside out of this 200 EMA. I'll post that on Discord. And if you guys want to see some more in-depth analysis, as always, make sure you check out www.paperchurch.io. That way you're seeing everything that is in there. In the morning, like I said, you're going to be getting those outlines. You're going to be getting them before we start streaming. So if something is happening, then you're going to be in the know. See, so yeah, Marvel tapping into the, let's see if the range here, combine 200 EMA. Let's see, Microsoft still could see a little bit of downside. Net. Feels like they're either manipulating this for something, but not sure what that might be right now. All right. So let's Netflix kind of consolidation area here. Nike now NQ. See, there's that run to the downside. I don't know if you guys were here, but when we were talking about all of this LRLR, typically when we see this LRLR, they want to gush this down, which exactly what we got right there with that SFP on the daily. Or is just still within this little guy right there. PNW, PBR. Yeah, everything just saw a little fucking nasty gusher to the downside today. Do I got any news coming up? Right, consumer price index, CPI on. Majority of news came out today. Flash service BMI. FOMC member Waller speaks tomorrow. Trump speaks tomorrow at 7 p.m. Something to watch for. CPI year over year. Unemployment claims. That's on Thursday. Existing home sales 8 a.m. or 10 a.m. on Friday. And University of Michigan consumer sentiment revised. So let's see if they're waiting on something here. Spot good reversal here. Top of that 786 now. Spot could be decent out of this range. Let's see. Spotify. Who doesn't love Spotify? People that don't have premium, maybe. Tism, Texan. Let's see. UAL, nice continuation. Uber, UPS. Need to see VC. CMCS. That's all we got. Yeah. We're just going to keep on watching what we got. Let's take a look at NQ. This is the 12-hour levels, right? This is the continuous chart. So as you can see, we tapped into kind of this zone where we had some other 12-hour levels that we could have used, but that's besides the point. So right now, as long as that 25.32675 keeps holding, we can get above this previous month closing price. And this is continuous chart, so this is not the current contract. So something to be mindful of there. Let's take a look at some backtesting. Typically, I come in here during the evening, scroll back a few days, outline 3 days that we had during the session, and then I fuck off. So let's take a look. Let's do 3 days. So 1, 2, 3. We're gonna go each day and see what kind of setup that we were looking for. Right. So immediately, right in the morning, we take a look at this as we would going into the actual trading session. So we take a look at Asia session, we take a look at London session. So over here we have this Asian consolidation, London sweep in the top of that Asian session. Now price is getting below it right over here. So price is now below this Asian session. Possible going into New York, we're going to see a continuation or reversal to the downside, given that New York has swept over here. So we're going, going, going. We can outline this liquidity right there on the left. So that Asian session low. Right, Asian session low right there. Price coming in here, 930 opening price, right? So 930 opening price. What do we see here? So price is sweeping that previous candle low. So that's that 15-minute, previous 15-minute candle low is swept. Then the closing price of that previous 5-minute candle is holding the scan to the upside, rising VIX fix, back above the swept liquidity. And then we have some outstanding liquidity on the upside, which over here can potentially target the OTE of that London session or the OTE of the whole range down. As you can see, we're tapping into the 705, which has given us a nice reversal here after that SFP. So that gives us that reversal for continuation to the downside, either into here, or if you wanted lower, you can totally do lower, right? But those are the two trades. So over here, we're going to say, there we go. So price sweeping the previous 15-man low, as well as the 5-man at 9. As the 925 closing price is holding the 930 candle body above, which typically gives us a reversal to the upside. So here, all right, one trade that we can take is probably a long position over here off of that and going into that liquidity right there. So there's that sweep, right? We're going into that SFP right here. So this is 930, 935, 940. Next 15-minute opens up. That's 945, 950, and there's that 955. Over here, you can see we're displacing this fair value gap right there, right? So this candle displaced this fair value gap over here as well. So now we have an inverse fair value gap. We have an SFP here. So potential trade over here is going to be tap into that inverse fair value gap, highlighting the highs, and then back down to retest that, which gives you a pretty decent with, you know, 2 contracts, 2K to 9K. That's pretty decent. It's almost 3x, 4.46 ratio. So there we go. So there's those potential trades, right? So over here we have SFP with no displacement through the high rejection of the OTU of the bearish range. Bearish range tap back into the IFEG for reversal to the downside. So we have here, so that's one day going into that second day. Over here, we're looking Asia session consolidation. London did look like it manipulated to the downside, right? So, okay, maybe potentially we can possibly look at New York session reversal, right? But we'll need to play it as what price wants to do, right? Because it's not always what we want price to do, but it's usually what is price wanting to do. All right, so over here, we're going to take a look at this 5-minute, 930 opening up. So this is immediately, right, giving us an open high, low close, 15-minute candle. So over here, right, SFP on the 5-min with failure to displace through the high here. So that immediately tells us, okay, price is not willing to hold above this high. We've swept it. We're getting below this 5-minute candle high, so price taps back into it on that candle. That can be our entry for shorts here. So here, that's going to be right there. So tap into it right there, and we can target potential, or our target can be this London session low, right? Because we're just looking for those easy targets. There's that, right? 6 versus we got the 2. So that's about a 3.274 ratio right there. Reversal to the downside, sweep of that. No reversal out of this zone, so price continues to drop. And over here, we're not seeing necessarily any big reaction, so into the next day we go, right? We're looking for quick, easy setups, something that plays out consistently for us, something that we're used to taking. So let's continue going into this final day, and then we'll end the stream. So we're here on the 5-minute, right? Asia session consolidation. We swept this during the London session, which typically whenever we get sweeps like that, we can take an outline, draw a projection to the upside. See standard deviation. You can see that -3.5 lining up at the top right there, right? We typically like to line these up with some sort of liquidity, so you can see -2.5s lined up pretty decently right there. So we can draw this out right there, right here. That's our first target. Second target is going to be this, but if we're taking things off on that first target, it doesn't matter. So then once we have this, then okay, we're going to look at the London session OTE. So we're going to do this. Price taps into that 705 right there, right? We have another liquidity here that we come back down to. The price over here, 930 opening up. So once again, sweeping that previous 15-minute candle low. We're tapping into this fair value gap as well on the 5-minute, which is within the OTE. Body's holding above the 50% of the fair value gap. We're tapping the 705 right there, rising VIX fix. So rising VIX fix. VIX fix sweep of the previous low here into the London range, into the within the range, and holding the 50% of the FVG. I got some fucking hiccups. God dang. And then we can take a long, right? We can take the long on this next candle that opens up, taps into the closing price of that previous candle. We can target this right there, right? Or however much you want to hold it to. You can trim it at London session highs. You can trim it right there at this -125, or that previous London session that didn't get swept last session. Over here above, right, we're sweeping this liquidity right here. We can take a trade up here as well. So this is technically tapping into the previous hourly high, which is right there at 10 or 9. At 9.55, there's that previous hourly high. So price is sweeping this liquidity right there, right? No continuation above the 3.5 either. We keep on holding the closing price, so we can take a short over here within this range somewhere. I'm sure if we looked on the 1 minute, there was a decent setup, but this kind of like that SFP reversal back to the downside. So that's another trade that you can potentially take, is that closing price, right? Putting your liquidity like where price wants to go. You can either take it to OTE or take it all the way back down, as they have left this liquidity over here on the downside with no sweep, right? And that will do it. That's it. That's all I got for today. We can come back tomorrow, take a look at some more of those back testings, but stay tuned tomorrow morning as we'll do another stream outlining what we have going into that New York session and what we can see price potentially do. Other than that, thank you guys for watching. Thank you for tuning in. As always, make sure to give it a like, give it a share. Appreciate y'all. Love y'all. And we'll see you tomorrow morning. Peace out.